Order. Mary Jo, if you could do the roll call, please.
Ron Van Kirk.
Here.
Kathy Pucci.
Here.
Mary Belbeer.
Here.
Kevin Tansky.
Here.
Andy Selhertz. Here. Katie Gallagher.
Here.
Tony DeMarco.
Here.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance I need a motion to approve the minutes from April 27, 2015.
So moved. Second.
To approve, Ron Van Kirk.
Stay.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Belbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include the acceptance of a $3,500 grant from the Ohio Department of Public Safety to the Fire Department in the amount of $3,500 and to be used for EMS equipment.
So moved.
Second.
To amend the agenda, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Belbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to take things out of order tonight. We're going to hear Resolution 2015-6, honoring and thanking Cynthia Walker for her service to the Brooklyn City School District and the City of Brooklyn. If we could vote on this right now, please. Resolution number 4.
Introduced by all, suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Belbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
To adopt, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Belbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Okay, Mrs. Pucci's going to step up to the podium to read the resolution. Mrs. Walker, if you wouldn't mind stepping up.
Does Lee want to come up? Yeah, sure. Does he want to come up? No? Okay. Okay. Resolution 2015-4, honoring and thanking Cynthia Walker for her service to the Brooklyn City School District and the City of Brooklyn. Whereas Cynthia Walker has devoted 25 years to public education and the well-being and success of students. And whereas Cynthia Walker has served with distinction as superintendent of the Brooklyn City School District from August 1st, 2008 to June 30th, 2015, and as director of pupil support services from August 1st, 2005 to July 31st, 2008. And whereas Cynthia Walker sought and developed a vision and plan to build a K-12 campus environment that will directly impact the future generations of students. And whereas Cynthia Walker has taken a personal interest in the success of each student and established new opportunities, including the Chinese language program. And whereas Cynthia Walker consistently sought outside funding to provide additional opportunities. And whereas Cynthia Walker has been a dedicated and valued member of the Brooklyn community, including serving on the board of directors of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. During her tenure, Cynthia Walker strengthened the relationship between the schools and the business community and volunteered countless hours, making the Chamber a successful organization. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Brooklyn, County of Cuyahoga, and State of Ohio, Section 1, that the Brooklyn City Council hereby expresses our sincere appreciation and gratitude for Cynthia Walker's dedication and service to the Brooklyn City School District and the entire Brooklyn community. Section 2, that the Brooklyn City Council hereby wishes Cynthia Walker, her husband Lee, and their family many years of good health, success, and contentment as she retires from the Brooklyn City School District. Section 3, that this resolution shall take effect and be in force immediately from and after its passage and approval by the mayor. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you,
Mrs. Pucci specifically, and then City Council and the Mayor. I have had the pleasure of working individually and collectively with all of you on many different items for the City of Brooklyn. It has been my absolute honor to have served both the city and the school district in both capacities for the past 10 years, and I will miss you all, and I hope all success for both the city and the schools. I think you're on a wonderful path, and I have just been thrilled to come here 10 years ago and fall in love with the children and the city, and have felt so honored to be here, and very grateful for my time. So thank you for all of your support, all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Just a reminder to everyone, this is the last meeting before our summer break. The next regular council meeting is September 14th. If we have any special meetings, they'll be posted on the city's website, www.brooklynohio.gov. Tonight on the agenda, we have an authorization for requests for proposals for new city signage. This would include 8 Welcome to Brooklyn signs and 1 sign depicting leaving the city that would be placed on the west end of Brook Park Road. The total estimated cost is $20,050. We have a resolution for the 2016 tax budget. The 5.9 mills in property taxes will remain the same as last year. This is 3.9 of inside millage and 2 mills of outside. An ordinance repealing the security requirements for ATMs. This eliminates the need for a button and replaces with a swipe card. An ordinance establishing the position of part-time property maintenance inspector in the building department. Establishes the work duties to perform commercial and residential property maintenance inspections, enforce property maintenance codes, prepare, maintain related records. With a pay range of $8.10 to $20 per hour with no overtime, sick time, vacation time, or health care. An ordinance amending the non-bargaining pay of the Parks and Recreation, but this was amended at the last meeting. And adding the property maintenance inspector as just stated. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a job creation grant with Keystone Tailored Manufacturing. This is a company that replaced Hugo Boss. The agreement provide Keystone a $150,000 grant, half this year and half in 2016. As part of the agreement, they will make $2 million in improvements to their machinery and technology, and they will retain and train the Hugo Boss employees, 172 of them. The agreement also provides that Keystone must create 20 new jobs over the next 3 years and another 20 jobs over the 2-year period beginning January 1st, 2019. The agreement is null and void if Keystone does not meet these requirements or does not stay over the next 10-year period. They are scheduled to be up and running by August 5th, 2015. And lastly, we have an ordinance to allow the mayor to enter into a utility agreement with Cuyahoga County. This would modify the current sanitary sewer maintenance agreement with the county to include storm sewers and water lines. Okay, we will now proceed with the regular council meeting. We'll have the public session. If anyone in the audience has anything for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn, please step forward, state your name, address, including city, and please keep your comments to 5 minutes or less.
Hello, my name is Karen Anderson. I live at 10226 Micah Drive, Brooklyn, Ohio. First of all, I would like to thank several of the council people who I've always contacted, and they return my calls in a timely and courteous manner. Mrs. Gallagher, Mr. Telhurst, Kathy Pucci, and Mrs. Balbier. They always called, it seemed like the very same day. It's nice to live in a city where you get response right away. I lived in Cleveland for a long time and never anything, was ever returned my calls. So, and then I would also like to thank you for starting the repairs on the street so quickly. So far, it seems like my area is completely done. The men were very good. They always kept it open, so if cars had to get up and down, they were always talking to us, giving us notices. And then, I said, I think it looks very good. Hopefully it'll hold up, because the area where I lived, I thought I lived in a war zone. That section of my street was so bad, people were always driving on the wrong side of the street. And the only other concern I have is I don't have a computer, so I have to watch the council meetings on my cable, which is WOW. And I hope that you can continue to keep it on the cable stations for me so that I can keep up to date. I know I do get Mrs. Gallagher's Brooklyn Brief, and it's very informative, but I don't hear the people that come up and talk, so I don't know what else is going on. And I'd just like to say thank you to all the people here. You've always been very good and kind, and I'd also like to say that hopefully whoever's the new mayor, they will have a mayor's breakfast like you always had, because it was nice to come and find out what else was going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. Does anyone else have anything for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn? Okay, we'll now move on to committees, commissions, and boards. And first up is the Finance Committee, Councilwoman Pucci.
Thank you. Good evening. The Finance Committee met earlier this evening at 6:30, and I'm going to try not to be redundant from what Ms. Gallagher already read. We recommended that council accept the grant from the Ohio Department of Public Safety in the amount of $3,500. Chief Zemek will be using this to purchase EMS equipment, and he has until next May to spend that amount. Next is the request for authorization to initiate requests for proposals for the signage. The only thing I wanted to add is that there's been a committee, including residents, who've worked very hard on this project, taken a lot of field trips, and put a lot of time and effort into looking at the different options for our signage. This is basically going to be the first phase, which will be the markers at the city line. The second phase, there will be a larger sign, City of Brooklyn, at the exit ramp of Tiedemann and I-480, and then also signage for our new signage for our city buildings, which would include the senior center, which also has a sign for the park, City Hall, the service garage, and then some new directional signs once you enter City Hall's driveway, which way you'd go for the senior center and the park, police station, the courts, and all that. So that will be the second phase. This is only the first phase. Also, our tax budget will be adopting this evening by emergency measure because there's a deadline for us to get it down to the county. And the ordinance 2015-37, which was amended for the part-time maintenance inspector, and ordinance 2015-38, which was amended specifying the compensation for our part-time, full-time, non-bargaining unit employees. The agreement with Keystone, which is addressed in 2015-39, had a change, and that was we're taking on a bit of an unusual step. Normally, the company comes in and retains the jobs and or creates new jobs. We verify all that, and then they receive their first payment. This is a little bit unusual. I'm sure you all remember reading in the paper that basically Hugo Boss closed without an agreement for a successor, and then at the 11th hour, we were able to work something out. They have some unique circumstances that is prompting us to pay the first installment, even though right now the workforce is laid off until August. However, there is a mechanism in there that if they don't call those people back within plus or minus 30 days of August 5th, we would get our money back. And finally, the ordinance 2015-41, which we recommended adopting by emergency, is the utility agreement. Right now, the funds that are collected by the county for the sewer maintenance, they can only be designated to make repairs to the sanitary sewers. We're not going to be increasing what's collected. What we're going to do is we're going to take a portion of what's being collected right now and designate that to create a fund where we would have some funds available to make storm storm sewer repairs. So there won't be an increase. We're just going to tweak the distribution, and that distribution has not been decided on yet. We need to pass it by emergency measure this evening because the county has to have it by July 15th. And we also received a little update from the mayor. Right now, our city engineer is going to look at addressing the sewer and plumbing problems relating to the current police station, and then once we have a handle on that, the mayor will move forward with doing an assessment on the possibility of a new police station here on this property. And that completes my report. Thank you.
Next up is Recreation Board, Councilman Tansky.
Thank you. Recreation Board meetings are canceled for the months of July and August. The next Rec Board meeting will be held on September 21st, 7 p.m. in the Rec Board meeting room. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Because of the 4th of July holiday, the Planning Commission, if we hold a meeting, will not be until the second Thursday of the month, July 9th at 6 p.m. Because of that, we do not have an agenda yet. Domestic Abuse Commission will meet next Monday, June 29th at 6 p.m. And next up, we have Public Works Committee and School Board Liaison, Councilman Selhertz.
We had a Public Works meeting at 6 o'clock this evening. Just had a firm come in and describe the building assessment procedure, what to expect, what do they do. One of the interesting figures they threw out is, in evaluating the current existing building, if it costs 2/3 just to renovate a building, it almost comes out cheaper to build new. They talked about geothermal and a bunch of other things. So for the few of us that attended the meeting, were able to attend the meeting, maybe hopefully it gave us a little bit better perspective in this whole matter. Mr. Verba has been working with Mr. Courtney on this for a while already, so hopefully we're all on the same page and moving in the same direction. School report, one last time, well, if your child is going to be 5 by September 30th, you can register through the Board of Education office at 9200 Bidoff Avenue. Please give them a call at 216-485-8112 to set up your appointment. Registration is by appointment only. School Board held its regular monthly meeting this past Tuesday, June 16th at 6 p.m. in room 173. Part of the meeting centered around the retirement of Mrs. Cynthia Walker, the current superintendent of schools, with school board members commending Mrs. Walker on her career with Brooklyn. A number of other housekeeping issues consisting of outside service contracts were voted upon pertaining to the 2015-2016 school year. The board also commended students in the honor and merit rolls, athletic selections, and the 2015 National Junior Honor Society inductees. Board member James Oper reported that on the ballot this November, Polaris Career Center will be asking residents in their 9 participating communities, which includes Brooklyn, to vote for a .69 mil tax increase to pay for new equipment and programming. This will cost about $24 per year for a $100,000 home. The last time Polaris asked for a tax increase was in 1984. For other agenda items discussed at any meeting and voted upon, please go to the school system's website and click on the Board of Education tab and then on to the Board Docs tab. 6 juniors from Brooklyn who are at Polaris were inducted into the 2015 National Technical Honor Society. There were a total of 40 inductees at Polaris. To be eligible, students must meet the following requirements: earn all A's in his or her Polaris program, maintain a 95% or higher attendance rate, maintain a 3.0 cumulative grade point average. The Brooklyn students are Elizabeth Dang and Julia Donato in the Medical Professions program, Dominique Fittipaldi in Cosmetology, Kyle Luger in Electronics and Alternative Energy, and Matthew Rajecki and Allison Vincent in Criminal Justice. The next board meeting is Tuesday, July and 21st in room 173 at the high school at 6 p.m. Brooklyn public is welcome and encouraged to attend as your school system for your children. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Board of Zoning Appeals, Building Commissioner Colsar.
Thank you. The Board of Zoning Appeals met on Thursday, June 18th, 6 o'clock in Brooklyn City Hall Conference Room. and approved a request from Becker Signs Incorporated for a 3-foot variance to the minimum distance from the right-of-way for a freestanding monument sign for business identification of Today's Dentistry, located at 4301 Ridge Road. They denied a request from Tobacco and Vapor Unlimited to install business identification signs which exceeds the maximum allowable area. They were seeking a 116 square foot variance at 4334 Ridge Road. Thank you. That concludes my report.
We will now move on to reports of council. First up tonight is Ron Van Kirk.
Thank you, Mrs. Gallagher. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank, first of all, Mrs. Anderson for your comments regarding the street starting up so quickly. And my street actually got done this year as well. And I would echo what she said. I told the mayor this. The company that came out and did our street were very kind. They were very informative. They kept us posted. And they were out a lot earlier this year, and that is thanks in large part to the works of Mr. Selhertz and his dedication to seeing that get done. I think the work's pretty much wrapped up around the city. I mean, I know they're still working out there on some of them, but I want to echo that as well. Job well done on those streets. I also want to offer my sincerest thoughts and prayers to our friends in Charleston who are enduring this tragedy. If you've watched the news at all, it really hits close to home. I'm a very active church participant, as hundreds of people are in Brooklyn, and to see something like that happen in a church is very disturbing. And it's also amazing to me the outpouring of love and forgiveness that the folks down there have had towards this young man. And so, of course, our thoughts and prayers are with those in Charleston, and also for God's protection on our places of worship here in Brooklyn. I also wanted to update the residents. I know Mrs. Pucci said something regarding the new police station. There seems to be a little bit of confusion on some of this, and I just wanted to kind of clear a couple of things up. We've had, dating all the way back to February, numerous meetings with the architect that the administration hired to do a needs assessment for the police station. We had several meetings that discussed the parameters of what they would be doing. And David King there from Horn & King did exactly what was asked of him by the administration. That was to provide a needs assessment for the station. There were two different sites that we looked at, that he looked at, and those were both discussed in meetings. They were by no means going to be the final site for the police station. And both those sites were looked at. They're still in play. And now the administration wants to look at a third site, which is obviously the current location here. We did discuss having that as one of his sites in our initial meeting, but because, in Mr. King's opinion, those costs would be rather high, we decided as a group to look elsewhere, and now we're going to have the second opinion on this one here and have another assessment done once we have the sewers looked at. All the two sites that were located, one of them is right here behind the senior center. And there was some concern that if we built it there that we would lose those basketball courts. Obviously, if the police station goes there, those basketball courts would have to be moved, but they would be moved. We would not lose them. And so nothing has been decided by any stretch of the imagination. We're a long way from this process, but it's good that we have a lot of dialogue in this. And so we're going to continue to work forward. The bottom line is, as I said numerous times, we have to build a police station. We have to do something. Our current police station is falling apart. It's deteriorating every day. And we need to do something. And so we'll continue moving forward on this process, but I just want to kind of maybe clear up some of those misnomers that were out there. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next up, Kathy Pucci.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to attend the Chamber of Commerce meeting last week. They did honor Cynthia Walker for her service to the Chamber. I'd also like to congratulate the scholarship winners and also Mrs. Sue Grodek, one of our teachers who was awarded a teaching grant. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Enovich and her staff. They hosted a grand opening of our new bocce ball court, and it was a very enjoyable afternoon. I think most of council donated the food. There was a cookout, thanks to Mr. Verba because he stood out there in the heat cooking the food on the grill. And if you haven't seen the new bocce ball court, please stop over. Even if you don't play bocce ball, it's very impressive. A big thanks to the members of our service department who built it. I know we've had quite a few compliments on it from outside people, and I also know that they're looking to expand and increase the membership for both men's bocce ball and ladies' bocce balls. So if you know anyone who's interested, contact the Senior Center. I've already had a couple calls from residents who are concerned about not being able to see the meetings and other city functions on Brooklyn TV. Mr. Clausen, could you give us an update? I think you were going to try and get a more firm estimate on the fiber optics for the one option. Do you have anything for us yet?
Nothing new.
Okay. So are they going to give us a better estimate?
I'm still waiting for them to give a better estimate. However, I do know that the initial estimate, which our IT felt was low, was $15,000.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure that we're able to move forward with this so that we're prepared when our meetings resume in September. And I know we were also going to take a look at some of the sound issues to see if we could better identify if it was just the general sound system or if it was with one particular provider. So if you could please keep us posted. I'm pleased to share with everyone that I completed the Cleveland State Leadership Academy. We started last November. We had our graduation a couple of weeks ago. It was a very worthwhile and educational experience that I would recommend for anyone. Just to give you an idea, some of the topics we covered: personal and team development, community development, strategic planning, operations management, power and persuasion, and communications. And what is unique about this program is the instructors for each module are experts in the various fields. So you're not just limited to maybe one or two professors, but actual learning from experts. I do have a couple ideas that I want to get together with the mayor and then share with my colleagues. And one more thing I'd like to say on that, this was for public officials, not just elected. They try to have 2 elected officials in every module. The others are public leaders from various organizations across Northeast Ohio. And, a lot of times public employees get a bad rap. I can tell you that my group, this was the finest group of dedicated public employees I've ever come across. Each and every one of them were very dedicated to serving the public in the most efficient way possible. So that was really a great experience. Mrs. Anderson, thank you very much for your comments. I know, firsthand that your area back there was terrible for the streets. I know we've been looking to do that area for a couple years now, and I'm glad it's finally getting done. And thank you for your kind comments, too, about the response you get from council members. And finally, just to our residents, just because our regular meetings are in recess, we usually always end up meeting once or twice to address different topics that might come up over the summer. It doesn't mean we're on vacation or we're on a recess. We still take calls, complaints, questions from residents, so feel free to contact us. And finally, to the directors who have already been handling complaints I've received, thank you very much. I appreciate your prompt response. This is really the busy time for us and our directors as far as concerns and complaints from residents. So thank you very much. That completes my report.
Thank you. Next up is Mary Belbeer.
Thank you. I, too, would like to thank everyone that attended the picnic for the christening of the bocce ball courts. It was a wonderful sunny day. The hot dogs were good, thanks to Mr. Verba. Of course, I have to take a little credit, Mr. Verba. I told you how to line those up, but that's okay. But anyways, they were fabulous. The people came out, all the residents that were there. I think they really enjoyed themselves. It was like really a sense of community. And I hope to see more of that. So I know I hear from a little source that we're going to be getting new bocce balls too. So in addition to our beautiful bocce court, and I'd like to try out to play at, well, maybe on the Women's League this summer. So thanks for everyone that had a hand in that. Another thing I'd like to talk about, and it really concerns me, there's a wonderful family here in Brooklyn. They have a fabulous, thriving business, hard workers. They own beautiful property. They take care of their property. They called me and they asked me, Mary, what's up with that track? We wanted to go, you know, when you're restaurant people, you work all kind of ungodly hours. And they wanted to know, why is that track closed at night? You know, they like to walk. Isn't there some way we can open up the track that makes it more conducive for residents to use it instead of the hours, even if we use a swipe card? I know everyone's afraid of vandalism and things, but that's what we have insurance for, and it's a chance you take. And I've always been under the, you know, rule that, you know, I love to support our schools. You know, if you need anything, I think residents are there. They pass the levies, they go to the functions, but sometimes you need to throw something back to them. So I'm hoping in some way the school would reconsider the times, or somehow work a swipe card, and that way people, even if you paid a fee, I think people would even, you know, they wouldn't mind paying it just to use that track in the summer. The track is beautiful, you know, our city is so pretty. So I'm kind of asking for that, if you know, we can reconsider that. I know a lot of residents would be happy. On another note, I do have a few concerns and comments regarding our own city council. I was brought up not to comment on issues unless I was fully informed or at least knew all the sides of the story. As our great President Abraham Lincoln was quoted as saying, "It is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak out and remove all doubt." I believe in that maxim. And I brought that line of thinking to my role as a councilwoman. I wish others here would do the same. As I sat in this seat for the last few years, I have watched council people jump to conclusions, side with people who have made public comments without knowing all the facts, slam the administration before hearing their side of the story, and continuously exceed their role and authority as a council person. This led me to start asking members of council from other cities. These are respected people who work in cities and law directors as to what the duties and responsibilities of council are, because it is apparent from the actions that it's just unclear here. The answer, I believe, goes back to grade school and high school civics class and the different branches of government. I didn't think that council needed a grade school civic lesson. However, based on some members' actions, I have changed my mind. I have spoken with our law director, Mr. Clausen, and the mayor, and I'm going to ask for legislation or an agreement from my fellow council members that requires council to take a mandatory class regarding the role and duties of council members. I spoke with other cities and did some more research. Cleveland Council defines their role on its website. Cleveland City Council, the legislative branch of the City of Cleveland, serves citizens by monitoring city departments, approving budgets, and enacting legislation to improve the quality of life in an effective and financially responsible way. Council works to ensure every citizen has access to all the city services and represents the interest of the public to other governmental organizations and community stakeholders. Council members serve two roles in their duties: draft and enact legislation for the city of Cleveland and act as ombudsmen for their constituents. Thus, the two main roles of council are to be responsible for legislation and to help residents make contact to the right departments to resolve any issues. In Brooklyn, council should focus on these tasks and sometimes try to stop managing departments. It's hard. We don't need 7 mini mayors in addition to the people's duly elected mayor. I am advocating that all of us on city council know what our function is and concentrate on that. Let's let the executive branch of government do what it is charged to do. And that completes my report.
Thank you. Hey, Mrs. Pucci, would you mind giving one last pitch for the final phase of Beautify Brooklyn?
That's right, yes. Thanks for the reminder. Beautify Brooklyn, we're going to be entering the Phase 3, which is reap the rewards. We're going to have a judging. This is the landscaping curb appeal for both businesses and residents. And so, number one, if anybody wants to enter their household, or, I mean, really, you could call and even, you know, give us a heads up about any of your neighbors who have especially nice landscaping or curb appeal. I believe it's the week of July 12th. We're going to go around the city and look at everything, and then we're going to come up with first, second, and third prize for the different categories for residents and large business and small business. So certainly if there's a business you'd like to bring to our attention also that has nice landscaping, you know, you can let us know that. The information is on the website. You can also call City Hall at 216-351-2133, and then there'll be a little awards gathering on July 26th at the Senior Center. Thank you. Thanks for the reminder.
Next up is Kevin Tansky.
Thank you. I just want to thank those service employees, service department employees that built the bocce ball courts. It really looks great. I also attended the event, and it was attended very well. I would like to wish everyone a very happy and safe summer, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next up is Andy Selhertz.
Thank you. In regards to the snow removal program for the upcoming year, previous applicants will be mailed this year's snow removal application the week of September 8th, at which time you can bring in your signed application and pick up your sign. Sign up will be through September 8th through the 25th. Cost is $40. After September 30th, there'll be a late charge of $15. Any questions, please call the Senior Center at 216-635-4222. On Friday, June 12th at Finney Stadium, Brooklyn High School seniors Austin Guder and Damon Jackson played in the second annual high school East versus West All-Star football game. As mentioned before, both are going to Ashland University this fall. Also, on this past Wednesday, June 18th, Danielle Rivera played at Brookside Field in Ashland, Ohio, with the Ohio High School All-Stars in a game against the U.S. Junior National Team. Congratulations on participating in this event. And other than that, please have an enjoyable and safe summer, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Tony DeMarco.
I have no report.
Thank you. On Friday, July 3rd, all the city buildings are closed, but I heard the rec center is open, Maria? The rec center is still open, so the remaining city buildings are closed in observance of 4th of July. I'd like to thank Mrs. Walker and congratulate her on her new position. And I'd like to give a save the date for October 3rd. The city will be holding a fall festival. There'll be various activities throughout the day between 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. You'll hear more about it in the coming months. The city will post it on their website. We'll do Facebook. You'll get something in the city newsletter for the fall. But just as a reminder, October 3rd will be the fall festival. And lastly, I just would like to wish everybody a safe and happy summer. Next up is the director's reports, and the only one we have tonight is our building commissioner, Colsar.
Thank you. With the heavy storms that we've been having lately, I just wanted to clear up and give a little bit of information of what the services are done by the city and what homeowners should do or expect and how to take care of issues that they're having with storm backup. We have gotten some calls about water backing up into basements, wet basements, and excuse me, more times than not, it's going to be the perimeter system around your home. The storm system at your house starts on your roof, at your gutters, which usually collects leaves. So definitely recommend that you have somebody clean the drains around your house periodically. A lot of people don't do this at all, and we'll find that there's breakage or blockage. And with these heavy rains, the water cannot escape around the house quick enough, and you will get water in your basement. If you do find that there is a problem after that is in the right-of-way or the street, then contact the service department, and we can take a look at that. If there's any other questions regarding any of this or anything Else pertaining to the building department, please give us a call. Thank you. That concludes my report.
I don't know how I did this, but I forgot the guy in charge. Sorry, Mayor.
Quite all right. We received our annual report from the Waste Management from Cuyahoga County, and last year Brooklyn had 3,251 tons of solid waste. They had 748 tons of recyclables and 1,227 tons of organics. The total recycling rate for the city of Brooklyn was 37%. For some reason, that's down 2% than the year before, but it was 37%. The county average is 36%, so we're just a little bit above the average. The new fire truck is in at the fire station. They've got the radio equipment installed, but they still have some other equipment that has to be put on it. But so it's not ready to go on the road, but we do have it physically up there. And I suppose most of you read in the paper or heard about it. The bank at the corner of Bidoff and Tiedemann was held up Saturday morning by a lone male with a full ski mask, and he had his hand in his pocket and indicated he had a weapon. And there was no getaway car seen. They just saw him run out of the bank when he was done. Well, I'm glad to report through excellent police work, our detectives arrested the suspect this morning. So he'll be bound over to the grand jury. So I'd just like to thank the police chief and his men on the excellent job they did. You hold up a bank on a Saturday morning with no clues and they arrest somebody on Monday, 2 days later. I think that's pretty good. And that's all I have.
Thank you. First up, we have an acceptance of a $3,500 grant from the Ohio Department of Public Safety.
Move to accept the grant?
Second.
To accept the grant, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Moving on to requests, we have a request for authorization for proposals for city signage in the amount of $20,500.
Move to authorize the request for proposal for the signage?
Second.
To approve, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Next, we have Resolution 2015-3, adopting the tax budget for the fiscal year 2016.
Introduced by all, suspend the rules.
Second.
To adopt, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Kathy Pucci.
Yeah, we have to suspend the rules.
For the emergency.
Right.
I'm sorry. To suspend the rules. Sorry, Andy. To suspend the rules, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
To adopt by emergency, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ordinance 2015-36, repealing Section 70702B, security requirements for ATMs of the codified ordinances of the City of Brooklyn, Ohio.
Move to adopt?
Second.
To adopt, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ordinance 2015-37, establishing the position of part-time property maintenance inspector within the building department in the City of Brooklyn.
Move to adopt as amended?
Second.
To adopt, as amended, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ordinance 2015-38, amending Exhibit A of Ordinance 2015-31, titled Providing for the Compensation for the Part-Time, Full-Time, and Administrative Employees Non-Bargaining Agreement of the City of Brooklyn, Ohio.
Move to adopt as amended?
Second.
To adopt, as amended, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ordinance 2015-39, authorizing the mayor to enter into a job retention and creation grant agreement with Keystone Tailored Manufacturing, LLC.
Excuse me, I've got a question, maybe recognized.
Yes.
Should we amend it, Mr. Clausen?
Amend the,
Because we changed the agreement? Okay. I move that we amend the agreement in Section B, so that it reads, for purposes of calculating the amount of the grant, the maximum grant amount is $150,000, $75,000 in year 2015, and $75,000 in year 2016. The city agrees to pay the business development grant in 2015 and 2016 as indicated in Section 4A. The city reserves the right to recover the agreed payments if Keystone fails to meet and maintain the agreed-upon requirements of Section 3. The grant is based upon the annual city income taxes generated by retained full-time jobs and new full-time equivalent jobs in the city of Brooklyn. The 2015 grant payment shall be made by the city immediately following council's approval and the mayor's signing of this agreement, and then the remainder of Section 4B remains the same.
Move to adopt as amended.
Second.
Oh, we got
We need a
Denise, we also
second.
suspend the rules?
No, we need a second to the amendment.
first. We got to do a lot of things.
Second.
To amend, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Introduced by all, suspend the rules as amended?
Second.
To suspend the rules, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
No.
To adopt as amended, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
No.
Okay, last, we have ordinance 2015-41, authorizing the mayor to enter into a utility agreement between Cuyahoga County, Ohio, and the city of Brooklyn, Ohio.
Mrs. Gallagher, this is a minor point, but maybe the law director could advise me. On page 7, the signature page for my name to sign as mayor, they have the wrong middle initial. I know it's
Really makes a
minor, so
difference,
I don't think it makes any difference, but,
No.
No, it doesn't. We can
okay,
cross it out and just put the right name.
all right.
Introduced by all, suspend the rules?
Second.
To suspend the rules, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
To adopt, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Does anyone on council or any of the directors have anything else they'd like to add before we adjourn the meeting? Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
To adjourn, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.